Great. So I just want to say I was going to say good morning because it's morning for me and good afternoon for you. And
Yeah.
I trust you guys are all having a good day. And today, yeah, we're going to have a very, very interesting topic. It's about bias. And I think it's a very interesting topic. And I'd like to hear about, how bias is in Vietnam. And I'll also share a little bit about how bias is where I am. So let's get started. So we've already kind of done a warm up where we introduced each other, talked about what we do, and I know I just need to get your pronunciation one more time. Um, is it Mekong?
Quill,
Sorry,
quill. But
Quill. Ah,
yeah,
okay, Quill. That's the one I'll use. Okay, Quill, David, and Lily. So let me just tell you a little story about one of the times that I experienced some bias. So I was traveling to another town in Namibia, and I was going to do training. I was going to be training people who were teachers for a very long time, and they were very old. They were older than me, very qualified, and very experienced. So they moved from being teachers to headmasters, and now they were regional directors and working in the Ministry of Education. So they were very well experienced. And so I was younger than them. In fact, I think I was the youngest person in the room. And when I went to train them, I had to travel the night before. So I quickly got home from work, packed my bags, carried my suit, and I took my training material and I drove all the way to this town called Hobabis. So in Hobabis, I got to my room, I slept late at night, woke up nice and early, and I started dressing up, getting ready to do my training. And as I was dressing up, I realized that I carried a suit, but I didn't carry the correct shoes. I only had the shoes that I traveled with, which were sneakers, which were red and black Nikes. And I think Quill, you'll agree with me, especially some years back in fashion, you do not wear a suit with bright red Nike sneakers. And I had no choice, and I had to put on those shoes. And as I was conducting the training, at least when we're doing the introduction, all of these people, first of all, did not want to be there because this was a weekend. They didn't want to be in a training. They had better things to do. They were very qualified people and they had lots of other things to do. But here's this young person who's wearing a suit and wearing sneakers. And so they were not very ready to listen and to cooperate. But fortunately for me, the training was a good training. We had a good time and we started talking, and everything that we were talking about made sense. So until the ice was broken, they weren't very receptive. They weren't very open. But after that, after we got talking, they forgot about my shoes, they forgot about my age, and we really started having a very good session. And they came back the next day. And after the training was all done, we were all happy and we had a very good engagement. So my experience or my story is just to show how it is very easy to experience bias for even the smallest, well, maybe not small, but even the slightest thing, as just the types of shoes that you're wearing. And luckily, you can also break those biases by getting to engage and things like that. So that's a little bit on my side on how I had experienced bias once upon a time. And I would like to find out from your side, have you experienced bias before, or what is it like in Vietnam? I'm going to start with, let me start with David. David, did you get to hear most of the story?
Yeah, maybe in my university I have a lot of opportunity to presentation with the crowded people. So when I stand up and there I feel uncomfortable with my uniform because I only have a sneaker and I don't have a suit. No, I don't have a suit. So I think it's informal. Yeah.
Right. And how was the crowd, or how were the people you were talking to? Were they ready to listen to you, or did they treat you differently because of what you were wearing?
I think I only present in my class, so everyone is a student. Yeah, so I think it's okay because everyone also wear it. Yeah, but
Wonderful.
but I think if I have a presentation from the public. Yes, I think I have to wear the formal dress to impress.
Great. Lily, let me hear from you. Have you experienced bias before?
Ever? Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, I can hear you clearly. I was just asking, have you experienced bias before? And yeah.
I have in Vietnam, like it's very common. People like respect men more than women. Like the family, if they have only the girl, like child, only the girl, people will tell them that you should have more child like a boy. Yes, and in Vietnam they always like respect men more than women, and men have more chance than in the working place. I know the reason why they think like that, like because Vietnam have the like traditional, and also men they have like more power, like stronger than women. So people like they respect men more than women, and sometimes I also feel that because I'm woman, so I cannot do that, I cannot do this. But if I am the man, I can. So sometimes
Interesting.
I wish that I can I wish that I were boy, I were men.
Very, very interesting. Okay. I think in our impromptu topics, there are going to be some questions around the same area. Maybe we'll ask, maybe one of those questions will be yours. So, Quill, let me ask you, what is your experience like?
Yeah, my name is Dan. The Kumku is my name company, and I have the BS often in my job because beside my job, the main job is a designer. I'm a partner with the Amway company. That's in the level marketing, multi-level marketing. You know that? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know Amway.
Yeah, right. And 6 years ago, until now, when I introduced in a few people, they be asked me because I think multi-level marketing is not good because have a few people they make it they short the people, and
Mhm.
they a lot of people they can believe that, yeah, and they be because have a few company they brought they make they doing wrong, yeah, and almost people they think multi-level marketing is not good. And
Mm.
so when I introduce for the people, they be ask me a lot, but I don't worry about this because I have information and I believe in my business.
Wonderful. Oh, that's very, very interesting. Yeah, no, Amway is very global.
Yes, thank you.
It's wonderful. I think I have another bias. I am biased. I have a bias against myself because I think I cannot sell. And so that's why Amway did not work for me because I am not good at selling. So I thought, let me just take a break. But yeah, maybe I'll hear a bit more about that. Great. So
Yeah.
right now, we're going to do a little bit of what we've just done, but a bit more structured. We're going to do some impromptu speaking. And the beautiful thing about impromptu speaking is that when you have a situation that you just have to speak suddenly, you didn't plan for it, you did not prepare, maybe you didn't even think about your opinion on the subject. Impromptu speaking allows you to practice that. So I don't know if you've done any impromptu speaking sessions, but it is always a good idea to think of, if someone asks you a question and you have to do impromptu speaking, just think of one point. What is the one thing that you want to say? Because a lot of times the mistake that people make is they want to say a lot of things and they want to tell you about everything. And because it's not planned, they go here and they go there and they get confused and they forget and they start repeating and lose their train of thought. So when it comes to impromptu speaking, especially if you're unprepared or you're not so clued up with the subject, one of the best things to do is just think of one thing that you want to say and then say, give your idea, this is what I think, and then give your example, this is why I think it. And then you can give an example and say, once upon a time, or when I was a child, or I saw, or I heard, you give that example, and then you go back to your conclusion. And that is why I think this. And that would make your impromptu speaking so, so much easier. Now we're going to talk about some examples, and I think I am going to give everybody a chance. Well, not I think, I will definitely give everybody a chance. I have 4 questions in front of me. And in those 4 questions, let me ask, who would like to go first? I'm going to ask you, I'm going to give you a question, and you're going to talk about that topic for 1 or 2 minutes. It's unprepared, and so you don't have to worry about it being perfect, just to get yourself practicing and exercising. So who would like to be the first one to go?
Me.
Thank you, Dan. So can you please pick a number between 1, 2, 3, or 4? Pick one of those numbers.
Number 1.
Okay, great. You are picking number 1. So here is your question. Can you see it on your screen?
Yes, I see.
Great. And the question is, what is unconscious bias and can you name some examples? So are you familiar with unconscious bias?
Yeah.
Great. So when you're in, well, yeah. So now you have a minute. So please go ahead.
Yeah.
So Dan,
Yeah.
you ready to talk? You can talk on this topic, please. Give us a 2 minute, a 1 or 2 minute speech about what unconscious bias is, and maybe give us a few examples.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
When I introduce about EIY business with my friends, he told with me, don't cheat the people. He think that is a bad company. And I have asked him, do you know what is the do you know do you think a medical industry that is a good major, or do you think the teaching is a good major? And in the major, it is right or wrong, or that is the people. Everything in the, for example, in the education, do you think have a good teacher on a good teacher, or have feel the bad teacher? And in the Amway business also, they have a bad people and the good people. Don't conclusion on. Yeah, I think so.
Great, thank you very much. And that was some very good insight, because yeah, a profession is not necessarily a bad thing. It depends on who is doing it.
Yeah, I want to do it.
Great. No, thank you very much for that, Dan.
Thank you,
David, Lily.
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna go. Okay, David, you go next. Pick a number between 2, 3, or 4.
Maybe I choose 4.
You would like to take number 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's your question. Can bias be a great thing for you? Why or why not?
I think the bias is a great thing for me, because if I have the bias, I think I can get a good. So I can think. I think. I think it's a hard question.
Yes, it is. So maybe you can think of one example where it can be a good thing and one example where it can be a bad thing.
With me, bias is great, because everyone needs to have a bias, because bias can help you do the best thing. And if the bias the big enough, so you can achieve can achieve everything you want, like your BS. I think I can't stand the because I don't have a lot of experience, and I think BS is a hard topic to me. Oh, your mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, no, it is true. Bias is a very, very, very tricky topic.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, I think bias and prejudice sometimes are seen as the same thing. Okay, and now I'll share something just now. Okay, great, wonderful. Thank you very much, David. So now, Lily, you get to choose between number 2 and number 3.
Okay, I get number 2.
Number 2. And here is your question. How can unconscious bias affect your decision? Okay, so you get the question?
Yes.
Wonderful. So how can unconscious bias affect your decisions?
I think unconscious bias easily affect my decision. For example, when I buy something, if the product from US, UK, I think it's the good quality. However, if the product from China, made in Vietnam, I'm not really care about this product, and when I pay for product, if it's very fast, if the I believe like this product, if I buy like the skincare, for example, when I buy skincare, if from like US, UK, France, Korea, Japan, I will buy it right away. If someone tell me that really you should buy this one, it's very good for your skin, so I will buy it. However, if the skincare from China, okay, even they told me that really I use this many times and it's very good, try it. But I said, okay, let me check the information. I will check the Google. I will check it very carefully before I buy it. So I think unconscious bias, it also affect me, affect my decision like easily. So I think, yeah, I done with it.
Wow, great. All right, well, wonderful. Thank you very much. So each of you answered your questions with very interesting ideas and very interesting insights. It's yeah, bias is very, very interesting. And I've never actually thought about, is it possible for bias to be a good thing or a bad thing? And especially in my decision making as well, because a lot of times I think people it's easy to see bias when it's outside, but not when it's coming from your side. So for example, the skincare products that you were talking about, Lily, that's very, very interesting. Um, and David, when you were talking about, you were talking about, it being a good thing in the terms of it can help you make better decisions sometimes, or make you choose a better option. That was very interesting. And for Dan, when you were talking about yeah, when you were talking about some of the unconscious bias side of things, it's very interesting how every day biases play a role and that we're not conscious about it, but it still affects some of the things that we do, from decisions to what we buy, to how we talk with people and things like that. And that is very, very interesting. Now, when it comes to bias, I would like us to also think of one more topic, but each of us are going to take a different one because I have 3 topics about bias. And on your screen, I'm going to share the definition. Basically, yeah, we're going to have a time when you're going to prepare a speech. I will give you about 5 minutes to prepare. So you can write down your ideas, you can think of some examples, and then you can present a speech that's not more than 6 minutes long, 4 to 6 minutes. And again, like I said, instead of trying to present everything, think of the main things that you would want to say based on the information that you think is important. So for example, when I was sharing my story about bias, I can give you so many different stories about bias in my experience, but I only chose one. I chose the one where I wore the wrong shoes, and that was an example. But I could have said, oh, there was a time I went to the airport and I was the only person who was not dressed within a suit. So the security called me, or I have a beard, and because of that, people thought that maybe I would act in a certain way, or because I'm a man, they would think I wouldn't understand certain situations or conversations. And instead of going on and on and on and on like that, trying to give a speech, I picked one example and tried to take as much from it as possible. And so in a speech that is 4 to 6 minutes long, 2 examples, 3 examples maximum would be a good idea. And in your preparing of a speech, especially when you have a short time to do it, don't try and write down your whole speech. Just write the points. This is what I would want to say, and here's an example. These are some of the important words I shouldn't forget. And then you just speak using those notes, very summarized notes, because otherwise, another mistake that people make, other than trying to say everything, is they end up reading their speech. And one of the challenges with reading the speech is that you're going to create bias in your audience. Now imagine that I'm giving you this lesson and I'm looking over here on my screen and I'm reading my notes to you. Instead of talking to you directly, you would feel certain things about it. You might think, well, the teacher is not so well prepared, for example. Or you would think maybe he's not really sure what he's talking about because he's reading so much instead of engaging and having a conversation with the students. So at the end of the day, you want to have your points very basic, very easy to follow, so that number one, you're not going to try and say everything and go all over the place. And number two, that you're going to speak more authentically, you're going to speak more towards the audience, as opposed to writing it down and then trying to read it like a speech. So are we okay with that? Are we ready to prepare a speech on bias? Great. So I'm going to ask, we'll do it in order. Let me see, because I've got 3 questions and I would like to allocate them to different people. So let me put the questions on the screen and then I'm going to share them. So Dan, can you take topic number 1? Can you see it, or do I have to expand it?
Yes, I can.
You can see it? Okay, great. So that's the speech that you're going to prepare. David, can you see topic number 2?
Yes, I see.
Great. So that's going to be your topic. It's a very interesting one, the halo effect. That's a fun one always. And Lily, you can see topic number 3.
Yes, Harry.
Wonderful. So can I give you all 5 minutes to prepare your speech? And then I will give you an evaluation, both in terms of your presentation on the information in your speech, and yeah, just your overall delivery. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So you all have your topics. I'm going to leave those topics on the screen, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes to prepare.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Lily ơi, cho chị hỏi chút. Chữ bias á, nghĩa là thiên vị hay là chữ định kiến?
Định kiến á.
Định kiến à, cảm ơn em. Sẽ có lúc chị dịch trong Google nó lại là thiên vị.
Định kiến á.
Khó quá mấy gì.
Okay, David, are you done? Are you ready?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay, no worries, no worries. Okay, just let me know when you're ready to go, guys, and we'll take it from there. Dan, are you good?
I'm not sure.
Don't overthink it. Keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. I can talk.
Okay, we'll just check on Lily.
Yeah.
Lily, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Wonderful. Are you ready with your topic?
Not really.
Great. All of us are not really ready, so that's perfect. My art teacher used to say, well, he said it once and I never forgot it. He said, if you have 2 seconds to do a drawing, do a 2-second drawing. So if you have a very limited time, do what you can do for that limited time. You know, don't try and put details and craft it and make it perfect. If you're gonna do a drawing in 2 seconds, just draw a circle, a line, 2 lines, another 2 lines, and you have a person. And that's a 2-second drawing, and it does the job. So the same thing with when you've got a short time to prepare a speech.
Yes.
You don't have to
Can
expect.
I go first? I
Sure.
Yeah, I haven't take notes. I just replay my mind.
Okay.
Okay, so okay, my turn. 2 years ago, when I got the new job in the new city, so the first day I enter the company, the human resource staff helped me go around the company and introduce me the to my new coworker there. And I met one woman. She is very beautiful, look very kind, very nice. However, when I talked to her, I felt I hate her. But I don't know why, the reason why I hate her. We just met one day, just meet, just talk, just 5-10 minutes. And suddenly inside myself, I feel I don't have the good intuition with her. I feel I hate her, and I found out that I hate her because she had the voice, her voice, same as the person I don't like before. So I from my side, I hate her. So I not really talk to her too much. However, when we work in the same company, we have to work together every day and day by day. Like few months later, I I realized that this person is very kind. She really kind, very nice. She not the same with the person I had before. So I realized that, oh, I have the bias with her because her voice. And I think like we also everyone have like the same experience with me. And from my opinion, um, when when from my opinion, I know I cannot avoid the bias I have because with my experience before, with like the bias that we put in myself every day, we cannot avoid that. However, we just like take time to see and time to like we just take time to see, and we take time to like come down, don't to come down, and we adjust our thinking, our action day by day. So that's my yeah, that my I have done with this.
No, that's a very, very nice story. Yes, that's a very nice story. It teaches us a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting experience. Thank you very much for sharing, Lily. Appreciate that. I will give, we're all going to give some kind of feedback about each other's speeches. So please, let's pay attention. And I will give feedback on everyone's speech at the end. So who wants to go next?
Not me.
Okay. Well, okay, good call on that one. David, are you ready to go?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Great. All right, so David, the halo effect. So please, take it away.
Yeah. The topic too. I think the halo effect is our tendency to think everything person. I think just before that when I attend a meeting, I always admire the people who the beautiful and the rest gorgeously. So, but conclude that they are the talented people with high position in the society. But currently, for now, yes, I think if I want to conclude something, will I have to find more information about that person, and maybe I ask someone a question like, do you know that person, and what is that person working for, and before I conclude that, and if it's all is well, I think concluding that person is good, is okay. But maybe I don't know that person. It's only the first time and first impression. So look like you when you ride on the road, working on the road, you meet someone like the girl, and she is a beautiful girl. Yeah, you say, wow, this that girl is perfect. But, and you want to have that girl, but when you have a girl, you you say that girl is not perfect. Look like like the first time you meet them, and I think if you want to concluding something, you have the experience about that, and a lot of the more information to the concluding that. So with me, I'm on way the 5 information about that. When look, for example, when I join a meeting and I see a person here have a good communication, I will search name search name that person on the Google. If it's good if I find out a name on Google, just so I think it's the best solution for before the concluding person is good or bad. Yeah, that's all.
Sorry, I'm muted. Yeah. So no, thank you very much. That is that is very true. And I think it's a lesson that we always have to keep learning, because when you think you're over one bias, then you realize there's another bias that you might discover. So thank you for those examples and that insight. Great. So Dan, I think you have you have no choice now.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Wonderful.
Yes. One day I have one friend, they introduced for me to join with mental course. And when I join in the Zoom, I hear the voice of speaker. And the first time I think I don't like him because different style with me, and he don't attracted me. And so I intend to don't I intend not to participate. And but I think in a group have over 800 people follow him, and I think maybe I can try. Maybe have a one thing I can learn from him. And when I try I try with him for 10 days, and I finish it. And day by day, I like him, and I think he have a lot of things for me study. And I think that's a good experience. In the first time, maybe you don't like the people different with you, but you need to have a organization to know them, and maybe you have something to like you, and you can study more. Yeah, that's all.
Great. Thank you so much. So all of you did really well. You had some good examples. You gave conclusions that not necessarily a call to action, but something to think about, something to take away of value. So it's always important to remember or to consider whenever you give a speech or whenever you talk about something, what is the point? If someone is going to listen to me, why should they listen to me right now or to what I'm saying? And so all of you, I'm really glad, had something of value for people to take away. You know, there was a lesson in each and every one of your speeches, and especially on a topic like bias. So does anybody want to give a bit of feedback on, well, first let me ask this. David, let me start with you.
Yeah.
How did you feel about your speech or your presentation?
I think my presentation skill is not good. I always using the always using the buzzwords. It's not much in the presentation. It's only the normal words. And I think I take time to think about the presentation, yes, about the topic too much. So I can immediate. I can think immediate. I can, yes, I can do that. So I think I need to improve my presentation skill.
Okay, great. Thanks, David. Dan and Lily, do you have anything about to say about David's presentation? Any feedback for David?
I think for the topic too, it will be nice if David will give us more example about the halo effect, so we can know clear about that.
Right. Okay. All right.
Thank you, David.
Great, great, great. Then?
Yeah, no.
No? Okay, great, wonderful. David, I will give you my feedback after we go through everybody. So, Dan, now that your mic is not muted, how did you think about, how do you feel about your presentation?
I think my English not fluently, and I don't eye contact with the audience.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, so I think, okay, so English and eye contact. All right. Anybody else got some feedback for Dan?
I think the topic 3 is the so hard topic is too hard for the people can present clearly. Yes, so I think the Dan is good in presentation. Yeah, but I think she need to improve and try to best. Yeah, try to her best.
Awesome, thanks, David.
Yeah. For then I think your English is good, better than myself, because I know that for my English I think it's there a lot of things to improve it. For your English I think your English still better than mine. I think you just like take care about the content, like when you want to the audience impress in your speech, like you sometimes you like high your voice or low your voice or speak slowly or very fast, so it will be better for your speech next time.
Yeah, thanks, Lily.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, thank you very much. And Lily, your mic is on, so how did you feel about your presentation?
For my presentation, I think I need to care more about the content, because from my topic 3 they have like two questions for me, like, do you see these bias in yourself and how can you overcome it? For the first question, I think I do well with it. However, how can you overcome it? I think I should give more solution for audience. So I think it will be more better. Yeah. For my English skill, I told to Dan and you also that I'm not really like confident with my pronunciation.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you, Harry.
Okay. All right. Great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Anybody got some feedback for Lily?
Like her voice. I love when her tells story, when she posts and picked. I think it's so attracted me. Yeah,
Good. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Lily is so confident, and I really like her voice. It's so cute. Yeah.
Great.
And about her presentation, I think it's the best. She give to us the example. It's easy to understand. Yeah.
Okay. Easy to understand. Now that's good. Great. So I am going to give my feedback for all of your speeches, right? Let me just write this down. Great. Okay. So for me, overall, I have to say, I think this topic is quite a difficult topic. It's not too easy to discuss, especially if it's in a language that you're not very comfortable with, because it takes because you're going to be talking about a lot of human condition type of things. So, sometimes you might feel that you're struggling to find the right words or the right vocabulary. If I were to say, deliver these speeches in Vietnamese, you wouldn't have a problem because you know the right technical words. And that's one thing I want to point out, especially for you, David. David, you said that you felt like you were just using normal words. But here's the thing about presentations. You don't have to use complicated words. Sometimes they're nice, sometimes they might be necessary. But the very important thing about any presentation is to be understood. If they understand you clearly, then you can use the simplest words. One of the best writers in the world, Dr. Seuss, sometimes would write an entire storybook only using a combination of a very limited number of words. And it would be simple 3-letter words from beginning to end. But people would love reading them. Adults would like to read them to their children. Children memorize them easily. And it's not because of fancy words. At the end of the day, when you do a presentation, and I picked up that you gave a couple of examples, different types of people that you met, and how you felt about them and how that changed in a short space of time because of your experience. This is what will make your speech or your presentation even better without changing your vocabulary. If you paint the picture of what happened, because I can tell you, one day I was at the office and my boss was very happy with my work, and then the other day my boss was very angry with my work and I felt bad. Right? Very simple words, but at the same time, it's not so interesting. But if I were to say, one day when I was at work, my boss, who's usually never smiles, he smiled because he saw the work I did and he looked at me and was very proud and said, well done. And that made me feel very excited. that paints a different picture of the experience. And when I talk about when he was angry, you can say things like, when my boss was very upset, I felt like the whole world was shaking and everything was coming over me and I felt so small. It's not complicated words, but you're making us understand and feel the experience you had. That's the important thing. How do you bring out the feeling of what you want to share? So when you see somebody and you think, wow, this person is so attractive, that's why people write poetry. And if you say things like, her eyes were bright like the sun, his hair was shiny like silk, and she was tall like a supermodel, there you're helping us see the picture. And you don't need complicated words to achieve that. Just focus more on trying to tell a story to share the experience. So I really enjoyed your examples. I just think for you to improve, work on sharing the experience or the emotion of what you want to share. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you for your advice.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So in no time, you'll be giving great presentations. Just always go for reaching people in here, in the emotions. That's always what makes a great presentation, because you're presenting to people, not to machines. And that's why if people give a presentation and they just talk about numbers, 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 charts, 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 everyone gets bored. But if they talk about what those numbers mean for people, how it affects people, and how it can make things better or worse for people, then people understand. So it's the same thing in all our communication. Great. Dan, you also kind of doubt your English, and you were talking about eye contact, which is a good thing. Because you're conscious about it, so you know what you need to work on to improve. And the same advice I just gave David, I'll give it to you. Don't be too worried about fancy words. Don't be too worried about impressive, big, flowery words.
Yeah.
Paint the picture. That's all you have to do. Paint the picture. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have to improve your vocabulary. So David, Dan, if both of you who want to use more interesting words, one of the things you can do is read more English books.
Yes.
They don't have to be complicated. Or what you can also do is listen to interesting speakers, because some of these interesting speakers don't necessarily use big words, but they know how to put words together in a way that will make it interesting. And if you know that you are interested in what you're saying and your audience will be interested in how you say it, you'll have a bit more confidence as well. And the thing about eye contact, I'm glad you pointed it out. I didn't I didn't notice. I was just listening. And it's always good to make eye contact, even if we're not looking at each other right now. But it's I think I gave an example and I said, imagine if I had some notes and I'm looking here the whole time and I'm teaching the class while looking in this direction. You'll feel like we're disconnected. And I think that's a very good observation on your part. So just be conscious of it. The trick that I use, especially if I'm going to use a computer, you can hang your notes on your computer monitor, for example, or you can type in the window that is close to your camera. And that way, when you're looking in that general direction, it looks like you're maintaining eye contact and your audience remains connected with you, as opposed to looking down at your notes while you're talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, great examples. Same with David. I loved the insights. Sorry, I need to go back to David for one more thing. The halo effect. Lily did mention that you gave examples of it, but you didn't point out this part here, that's the halo effect. Because of this, I thought this was a good person. And that is called the halo effect. So when you're addressing a specific topic, it's very good to let your audience know where that topic is. Because if you just give examples, I might not know which part of the example is the halo effect. Is it you? Is it the person? Is it the society? So just to point exactly where, especially when dealing with topics. And so back to you, Dan. Yeah, so
Yeah.
don't worry about vocabulary. You handled it very well. You spoke on your level. As a former English teacher, I always used to tell my students, because my students were adults. Some of them were working for so many years. Some of them had children and families. So they were grown-ups. They were not children. And when would they start learning a language? We don't start with very big, complicated words. We would start with the simple things. I am Harry. I live in Namibia. I have 2 children. Very basic, right? But if you ask them to talk about themselves in their own language, they will tell you all kinds of things. My favorite experience was when we went exploring in the deep jungles of the Amazon and we took a walk through it, and they would be able to tell stories. But the problem is they would try and think of their English assignments or their presentations, and they would want it to be the same level as the language that they speak naturally.
Yeah.
That's a mistake, because then you start feeling like my presentation is not working. Work with what you have. And I think you do a very good job with that. Work with what you have, expand your vocabulary by listening to speeches, listening to, maybe even to music and reading some books. And that will help you use words and even with pronunciation and stuff. So don't worry about that. That's not the main thing. Do they understand you? And did you make it interesting? That's it. And
Thanks, teacher.
not a problem. Lily, you speak with a lot of clarity. You are very good at getting your words out. And I noticed that you also pace yourself when you talk. You don't just speak too fast or too slow. You also, you seem to be very deliberate about how you say things. So that's a very good thing. And the fact that both of your colleagues or classmates have commended your voice, use it, make sure you keep practicing, continue projecting, and that sort of thing. So I wrote confidence level. I think you have a good level of confidence, and so keep it, because again, and this goes for all of you, same Dan, David, if you speak with confidence, even if you're using simple words, you'll be confident.
Yeah.
If you speak with confidence, even though you're not totally sure, you'll be confident. The important thing is to really just believe in what you're saying, because you understand it. And when you're confident, it's not going to be, let me say it this way. If I was teaching this class and I was nervous, and every time I'm speaking, I'm going, I'm sorry, you are going to be very distracted. It'll be very difficult to pay attention to what I'm trying to teach you, because you're also starting to feel uncomfortable. So the thing about confidence, it's not about you, it's about making sure that your audience doesn't get disturbed by other things. So well done on that. And so that makes it very easy for you to be understood, Lily. What I would, the point that you raised, focusing on the topic, that you were asked 2 questions, but you answered one very well and you forgot about the other one. And I see that tells me a little bit about you. It tells me that when you are addressing something or someone, you want to make sure that you have covered everything, which is a good thing. So, for example, you pointed out that that in David's speech, he gave some examples, but you still couldn't figure out where is this halo effect, right? And you do the same for yourself. You also look at yourself and say, "Oh, I said this, but I didn't say that." Okay. So this goes back to the advice that I gave. Before you even start working on your speech, think of, what do I have to communicate? What do I have to say? So for example, if I am talking about the halo effect, then one of the things I have to tell myself is, okay, great. What is the halo effect? That's something that I'll have to say. And for example, let's see, what was your other question? Oh yeah, how you would deal with bias. So if you have that in mind, even before you start planning your speech, if you had those two, you already answer those questions yourself. And then your speech or your presentation, you work backwards. First, you start with, this is what I want to tell the people. And that way you won't forget that, oh yeah, I was supposed to talk about myself at the end. But because from the word go, this is what I need to say, and I also need to mention this, then when you work backwards, then you say, okay, what examples do I give? What experience can I share? And is there anything that I have to define or explain so that everybody understands what I'm talking about? So I think that that's something that you would really do very well, and would even make your presentations way more efficient, because it's something that's already in your mind. So just keep practicing it. I hope that makes sense, because I'm talking a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Harry.
Great. But for everybody, I always tell people, there are two things that if you do your public speaking and presentation skills and all of those things, and you learn that and you forget everything, if you're going to forget everything you're ever taught, try and remember two things. Number one, your body language. And I know, for example, now we have a virtual meeting, right? But I'm still using a lot of body language. Eye contact is part of body language. Smiling when you speak is part of body language. Keeping your posture and looking straight into the camera is part of body language, right? Not being on this part of the screen is part of. So so that's one of the very important things, because it helps people know that you're either prepared, that you're confident, so they're not worried and uncomfortable. And it also helps you speak clearly, because if you have bad posture, it affects your voice. The second thing, especially because even on virtual platforms and in person, vocal variety, how you use your voice. If you can master those two things, you'll be able to speak about anything, even say things that don't make sense, but people will love it. Why? Because when you use vocal variety, it helps people follow what you're saying. Is what you're saying, what you've said, is it a question? Or is it an answer? Or is it something that should make people happy? Or should it make people sad? What about something exciting? So you see, all of those things, like David, when I was talking about your speech, bringing out those emotions, right? Your vocal variety will help people understand what it is that you're bringing across. So even if someone does not understand the language you're talking in, they should be able to say, David's talking about someone who made him angry, or he's talking about something that made him happy, oh, this must be something, whatever he's saying or whatever she's saying, this is really exciting for them. Wow. And all comes from how you go up and down, how you slow down, or how you speed up. So those are some of the things that you need to start looking into, to practice, and it will really make your presentations a lot more exciting. And it'll also make you excited about your presentation. And I see, so David, you said you play a little bit of guitar. Do you sing as well?
Right. Yes, I have a guitar, but I don't play it well. I only play it for fun.
No, that's okay. Don't worry, I'm not going to put pressure on you and say, hey, sing for us. No. I'm just asking because if you sing, or when you sing, you have to bring out the emotion of the song, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with public speaking. Always bring out the emotion, and it can come out through your body language, through your voice, and how you say things. I like using this example. I can either say, I am here for you, right? Or I could say it, I am here for you. The words are exactly the same, but the meaning is different.
Yeah.
One is saying that I'm here to support you, and the other is I am here and you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is made through body language and through the voice. So we have done our evaluation. And I just want us to do a very small review on our session in bias. But there's a picture that I would like to share. So let me just find that real quick. And I would like to find out what you think. So let me go here. All right, so there's a person by the name of Constant Nunez, and I'm going to show you a picture, and I'd like you to tell me what you think or what comes to mind. So can you see the picture on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So this is one of my favorite people, Constance Nunez. So Constance Nunez. So let me ask a question. Lily, what do you think Constance does? If you saw her and I say, what do you think she does for a living? What would you think?
I'm not sure I get the meaning of Constance.
Oh no, Constance is her name.
Constance.
Yeah.
like yeah.
Let me see. Let me find another picture. This is another picture of Constance. Okay. So
like the model. Constance is the model.
So you'd say Constance is a model. Okay. Great. David, if I were to say, do you think Constance is intelligent? What would you say?
Yes.
You'd say yes. You'd think so.
She's so beautiful, and she has a lot of beautiful cars. So I think she's so intelligent. Yeah.
Okay.
Reasonable.
All right. Great. Dan, do you think Constance is it would be good to be what do you think? Would she be a good driver, or would she be a good model?
think she can drive a good,
Uh-huh.
good driver.
Good driver. Okay. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Constance Nunez. So I found Constance Nunez because of a show that I used to like watching. This show was about fixing cars, and people would take old broken cars and they'll build them up and turn them into very beautiful machines.
Oh,
Constance is a mechanic. And not only she's a mechanic, but she's also a businesswoman who has built her own auto mechanic shop where she takes people's cars and makes them look amazing and even work better. So yeah, but a lot of times, because of bias, when we look at somebody, when we see their picture or something, we'd think, oh, that's a model. That's someone, yeah, they're just standing by the car because they want to make, they're selling the car. But those are the cars that she built.
Yeah. Great.
So it's so just to,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
just to reiterate. So sometimes it's very easy to fall into a trap of bias just because of even appearance. And yet, for example, if I didn't know who Constance was and she came to me and said, hey, I need to borrow your car real quick, I would be worried. Like, do you know how to drive? Do you have a license? And things like that. But this person could probably drive way better than I can. And if they break it, they can fix it even better than me. So that's just something that I want to point out about bias in terms of our recap for our session.
Yeah. Wow.
wow.
Interesting.
Great. But she's also a model, but she also models, but she focuses on cars. So that's her main business: cars, her own garage, and fixing vehicles. So that's pretty cool. And then I also have a friend who's a really big guy. And the thing is, he bakes the most amazing birthday cakes. So cakes with cartoons on them and towers, and he gets very creative. And for his sons, he made a volcano cake. It had chocolate volcano and sweet lava like rocks and things like that were made out of other sweets. But people would look at him and not think that, he doesn't bake or he can't do anything in the kitchen. So so the thing about bias, we always have to be conscious about it. And when we're conscious about it, we can learn from it. And there's one more bias that I want to point out. Each and every one of you, when you gave your feedback about your speeches, you all talked about what you did wrong. I would like it if from now on, whenever you give yourself feedback on your own speech, talk about what you enjoyed. What did you like about your speech? What was your favorite part about your own speech? Which part do you think was the most interesting? And then you can talk about, I would like to improve here and there. Maybe I can improve my vocabulary or the way I speak or whatever. It's fine to acknowledge where you need to learn, but it is not fine to forget about where you also do well. Because if you're not conscious about what you're doing well, you might forget about it and lose it. When I was learning public speaking, I was not conscious that I use humor. And I was also not conscious that I use storytelling. And if I didn't become conscious of that, I wouldn't use those to even make my speeches better. So I would like each of you to also look at your own speeches. What do you do well? oh, I give great details. I know how to tell a story. I know how to describe people. I know how to use my voice, things like that, so that you know that you can also make them better and then also understand what you need to work on as well. Can we do that?
Yeah.
So that's another bias that we have to address. Making sure that we actually also know that we can give ourselves good points as well, and not just only talk about what we need to improve. So we have we've got about 8 minutes left, and our class was small today, so everything went very, very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can I show you one of my favorite speeches?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
Waiting for that.
Oh, really? let me find it very, very quickly. But while I'm finding it, would you like to please give me some feedback about today's lesson? How did you feel coming in? How do you feel going out? Is there something that you're taking away? And what are you, yeah, what's the takeaway for you? So David, you can go first, Dan second, and then Lily, okay?
Yeah.
While I look for the feed. So please, yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah. Today is the first time I joined to the EIY club, so I so interested about it. Yeah, and I think you are the best tutor for me, and you give me a good advice to me can improve my English skill. That is the best way to me can achieve my dream, like go abroad, and I can yeah, and thank you all to and give me a feedback to my presentation, my presentation. Yeah.
All right, well done. And welcome. I didn't know this was your first EIY class, so I hope you really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Great, great, great. Dan?
Yeah. The first time I send thank you to teacher, and I think the class is useful for me when you have a lot of advice. It's good for me. I think it's will improve my skill a lot. And thank you for your advice about I need to reading in this book or listening interesting speakers. And thank you so much, teacher, and you.
No, you're more than welcome. I appreciate that. Great. I almost have the speech ready, Lily.
Yes. I like the topic because it's really like new for me. About bias in Vietnamese, I know, but we not really talk about that too much. But because of the topic today, so I have time to take what is the bias and what the example, and I know the like I know the example about that, like something we know but we cannot like address that the name. So now I know what is the bias, and thank you for the topic, and thank you, teacher Harry.
Yeah. You're more than welcome. So I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this video for you, but I've also put the link in the chat. I just wanted to, so I like using this this particular speech as an example to show that if you use body language and vocal variety, it really makes a difference, even if you're not really saying anything. So let me share the screen and start it. So the link is in the chat if you want to copy it and save it for later.
Hear that? That's nothing. Which is what I, as a speaker at today's conference, have for you all. I have nothing. Nada. Zip. Zilch. Zippo. Nothing smart, nothing inspirational, nothing even remotely researched at all. I have absolutely nothing to say whatsoever. And yet, through my manner of speaking, I will make it seem like I do. Like what I am saying is brilliant. And maybe, just maybe, you will feel like you've learned something. Now, I'm going to get started with the opening. I'm going to make a lot of hand gestures. I'm going to do this with my right hand. I'm going to do this with my left. I'm going to adjust my glasses. And then I'm going to ask you all a question. By show of hands, how many of you all have been asked a question before? OK, great. I'm seeing some hands. And again, I have nothing here. Now, I'm going to react to that and act like I'm telling you a personal anecdote.
So I'm going to pause that there since you have the link. And oh yeah, here we go. But do you see what I meant? He talked about absolutely nothing, but it seemed like a very interesting talk.
Yeah.
All he said, I'll do this with my left hand, do this with my right hand, I will adjust my glasses. And all of it was just body language and vocal variety. So it's a good speech to watch. It's not very long, and you get to actually see at the end of it, he talks about nothing, but still
Many
that
people at him.
yeah. I mean, this speech has 11 million views, close to 12 million views on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because it's brilliant. So now imagine you have something important to say, maybe even about bias, and you use your voice and your body language. Imagine how impactful your presentation would be. So on that note, David, Dan, Lily, very nice meeting you all. And I will end the class now and trust that you will enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have a good week ahead. I'm gonna, wonderful. I'm gonna stop the recording.
Have a nice